Have you ever wondered why money works the way it does? Why pieces of paper or numbers on a screen hold so much power over our lives? The story they teach us in school is simple. We moved from barter to coins to paper money for convenience. But what if I told you that's not the whole story? What if the system we use every single day was born from a hidden war, a secret battle for control that has shaped the world for centuries? This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a chapter of history that's been conveniently left out of our textbooks. Today, we're going to uncover it. Let's travel back in time, long before banks and digital currencies. In the past, money was tangible. It was gold, silver, precious metals. Their value was inherent. An ounce of gold was an ounce of gold, whether you were in Rome or China. This was commodity money. It was heavy, inconvenient, and hard to divide, but it was real. You held wealth directly in your hands. This system, however, had a major limitation. It was finite. A king couldn't just create more gold to fund a war or build a palace. He had to tax it, mine it, or conquer it. Power was limited by physical wealth. This limitation frustrated rulers and emerging merchant classes who wanted to expand their influence and wealth faster than gold could be mined. And this is where the first shots in the hidden war for money were fired. The idea was simple but revolutionary. What if we could replace the physical gold with a promise of gold? This gave birth to the goldsmiths, the original bankers. People would deposit their heavy gold with a trusted goldsmith for safekeeping, and in return, they received a paper receipt. Soon, people realized it was much easier to trade these paper receipts than to go back to the goldsmith, withdraw the gold, and complete a transaction. The paper itself became the money. It was convenient, light, and easily divisible. This was the birth of representative money. But the goldsmiths quickly discovered a powerful secret. People rarely came to redeem all their gold at once. So what if they issued more paper receipts than the gold they actually held in their vaults? They could lend out these extra receipts and charge interest, creating money out of thin air. This was the birth of fractional reserve banking. This shift was monumental. The power to create money was moving away from nature and monarchs and into the hands of private bankers. It was a quiet revolution, a transfer of power so subtle that most people didn't even notice. The war for money was no longer fought on battlefields with swords, but in back rooms with ledgers and loans. Those who could create money could control economies, fund armies, and influence governments without anyone knowing. They were becoming the new kings. This system reached its peak with the establishment of central banks. The most famous example is the Bank of England, founded in 1694. It was a private institution given the exclusive right to issue banknotes for the entire country. In exchange, it would lend money to the government with interest. Think about that for a second. The government, which represents the people, is now borrowing its own nation's money from a private bank and paying interest on it, with that interest being paid by the taxpayers. This model was so effective, so powerful, that it was replicated all over the world. The United States had a long and fierce debate about this. Leaders like Andrew Jackson fought against the idea of a central bank, calling it a den of vipers that concentrated too much power in the hands of a wealthy few. For a while, he succeeded. But the pressure was immense. Financial panics, often engineered by powerful banking interests, were used to convince the public that a centralized financial system was necessary for stability. Finally, in 1913, the Federal Reserve was created, structuring the U.S. economy in a similar way. The war for control of America's money was, for all intents and purposes, over. But the story doesn't end there. For much of the 20th century, this paper money was still tied to gold. Under the Bretton Woods Agreement after World War II, the U.S. dollar was pegged to gold, and other world currencies were pegged to the dollar. This meant you could, in theory, exchange your dollars for a fixed amount of gold. This provided a check, a limit, on how much money could be printed. But just like the kings of old, governments felt constrained. They wanted to spend more than they had, especially on wars and social programs. The final decisive battle in this hidden war happened in 1971. President Richard Nixon announced that the United States would no longer convert dollars to gold at a fixed value. With that one move, the gold window was closed. The entire world's financial system was untethered from anything physical or real. Money was no longer a receipt for gold. It was now just a promise from a government. This is the system we live in today, known as fiat money. Fiat is a Latin word meaning let it be done. Money has value simply because the government says it does. So what does this mean for you and me? It means the value of our money is no longer based on a scarce commodity, but on trust in governments and central banks. And because it's not tied to anything physical, there is no theoretical limit to how much of it can be created. When a government needs more money, it doesn't have to tax its citizens directly. The central bank can essentially create it, lending it to the government or buying government bonds. This process, known as quantitative easing, increases the money supply. But there's no free lunch. When you print more money, the value of all the existing money goes down. This is inflation, the silent tax that erodes the purchasing power of your savings. It's a subtle, hidden way to transfer wealth from savers and wage earners to those who receive the new money first, namely governments and large financial institutions. This is the ultimate victory in the hidden war for money, a system where wealth can be siphoned off invisibly, without public debate or consent. Understanding this history is not about being cynical. It's about being empowered. When you understand that our monetary system was not just a natural evolution, but the result of a power struggle, you start to see the world differently. You understand why inflation happens, why debt keeps growing, and why the gap between the rich and the poor seems to widen. The rules of the game were written by the winners of this war, but a new chapter is being written. The rise of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin represents the first major challenge to this fiat system in over a century. Bitcoin is based on mathematics and a decentralized network, not the decree of a government. It has a fixed supply, much like gold. It's an attempt to return to a form of money that cannot be manipulated or created at will by a central authority. It's a modern-day rebellion in the ongoing war for money. Whether you're a fan of crypto or not, its very existence forces us to ask critical questions. What is money? Who should control it? Is the current system truly serving everyone's best interests? This hidden war is far from over. By understanding its past, you are better equipped to navigate its future and make informed decisions about your own wealth and financial freedom. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the secret history of money. If this opened your eyes, hit that like button and subscribe for more content that challenges what you think you know. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments below. See you in the next video.